Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 192 of the J Situation Podcast. I'm recording this on December 19th, 2023. Merry Christmas, everyone. Yeah, man, you have less than a week until Santa comes down that chimney. Bro, hopefully you've been good this year. He's watching you. No, he is, though. He definitely has night vision and thermal at a minimum. Right? Probably has other stuff when you think about it. You know what I mean? So don't sleep on that. Or maybe, yeah, well, no, you can sleep, but just, with one eye open. Did I ever tell you about how cool it is to shoot an HK Mark 23? And just how great that gun is. Have I ever told you about that? No? Let me tell you. No, I'm just kidding. I know I say that all the time. There's a photo of it with today's episode from a recent range practice. It's just so fun to shoot suppressed. That pistol is ridiculous, man. I think I'm going to talk a little bit about it on today's episode if we have time. But primarily, I want to hit the technical discussion of last week's white paper publication. That's right, that PTR VENT 3 on the 5.56 Mark 18. Man, that was a humdinger. And I think a lot of folks are probably interested in the how and the why of that thing hitting the numbers it hits. It's really quite cool. And so we're going to get into that. It should be fun, okay? But first, before all that fun stuff, who makes this podcast possible? Well, you do, actually. So thank you for that. But also, some companies do as well. So let me tell you all about them right now. The J Situation Podcast is probably sponsored by Legion Athletics. That's right. Nothing you do, exercise, sports, any physical activities worth doing it without consistency, right? So you got to do it all the time if you really want to be good at it, and Legion Athletics can help. They got whey protein, pre-workout, post-workout. They don't have every single thing you need, but they have a lot of it, okay? You can visit legionathletics.com. There's a link in the show notes. Use code PEWScience.com to save 20% off your first order, and if you keep using that code, you'll get double loyalty points. You'll get 10% off everything you order from then on using that code. It's pretty cool. So you use that code, get strong. It's important. And I'll tell you what, I actually, you see people read ads and you think, oh, this is BS. They're just getting paid and blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, dude, I actually use this stuff a lot, like every day, actually. So actually recently, of course, I use the Pulse pre-workout. It's pretty good. It has some ingredients that normalize the caffeine surge so that it doesn't, spike and crash. It's kind of just like a slow burn, which I really like. I use a lot of their different type of vitamin supplements, particularly their magnesium is really great. And so there's a lot of different stuff I use from them. The whey protein is fantastic. There's just a lot of really cool stuff. So if you are into fitness, or if you're thinking about getting into fitness, you can go check them out at legionathletics.com. You don't need to get anything, but it's there if you need it. I think it's important. If this type of peer-reviewed supplement stuff was around when I got into working out a long time ago, I would be, super stoked to see it all in one place. So yeah, that's really neat. Also, this podcast is brought to you by Top Gun Range Houston. Again, this is an actual cool place. Okay, if you're in Houston, go check them out. All right. They have the largest firearm rental fleet in the entire state of Texas. There's a 15-lane indoor shooting range. You can rent machine guns. You can rent shotguns. It's wild. Pistols, rifles. And did you know you can also rent silencers there? That's what's up, dude. Rent a silencer just to handle it alone is awesome. Then you put it on a weapon and shoot it. I'm sorry, but that's really valuable experience that you're not going to be able to get at a lot of places. So I encourage you, please go check them out. You can look at their inventory at topgunrange.com. You can also find them on Instagram at topgunrange, and they love answering messages and stuff. So go bother them, okay? Go check them out. Also, this episode is brought to you by High End Armament Technologies for the full autistic spectrum of firearms. They are a dealer of exactly that, high-end arms and accessories. They have significant longevity in the machine gun and NFA game, as well as significant expertise in both the procurement and operation of night vision, thermal optics, infrared sighting systems, and lasers. Check them out at highendarms.com, Instagram at highendarms, and they even have a Facebook page, which is also High End Arms. If you need to find something that you just can't find, Robert and his crew will help you, I promise. All right? This episode is also brought to you by the largest distributor of silencers in the world, Silencer Shop. You can use their kiosk to your fingerprints and photos electronically, and in turn, you cut down on errors. You simplify your silencer purchasing process. You get a money-back guarantee. It's great. No transfer fees, no paperwork errors, just you and your silencer with no drama. It truly is silencer ownership simplified. That's right. And most importantly of all, now and forever, the podcast is brought to you by PEW Science. That's right, the PEW Science Laboratory. I'm the technical director of the lab. In the interest of public education, we sponsor this podcast, and we run a public research effort which continues to push the silencer industry forward one test at a time. You can visit our website at pewscience.com for the suppression rating. It is the simplest and the most accurate hearing safe rating for suppressed small arms. It's based on true human inner ear response of the entire gunshot from before combustion takes place all the way until all the combustion is gone. PEW Science is the home of the silencer sound standard. 7 sections. The most in-depth and accurate silencer data analysis in the entire world, the known universe, this galaxy. Probably. Yeah, it's available to the public 24/7 at pewscience.com, and you can support this podcast. You can support PEW Science, the lab. You can support all the public testing that you all get to read all the time by joining with a membership at pewscience.com. It's awesome, dude. You can also donate. If you're not into recurring things, that's cool. You can donate. One-time donation feature on the review page and podcast page. That is available if you would like. And, something that's completely free, you can just rate this podcast, give it a good old 5-star rating on the iTunes there, on the Spotify, and let folks know that silencers and guns are awesome, and we can normalize the use of suppressed small arms and help everybody. That's the goal, to help everybody. This really is the goal. I have 2 topics for you today. Topic 1, Sound Signature Review 6135. That's right, the PTR VENT 3 on the 5.56 Mark 18. The 135th article, it's crazy. It's a technical discussion of the article we released last week. We published that on the 13th of December. So we'll talk about that. It's a very interesting silencer. It's got that purposely induced porosity. Yeah, has some legs. And in topic 2, I just want to wish you all formally a Merry Christmas. From our family to yours. I do mean that. The holiday is coming this Monday, so hopefully you're able to spend it with your loved ones and rejoice and be merry. So thank you all for making this a great year. I do mean that sincerely, and I kind of want to ask you, how are you going to take advantage of the holidays? You need to be thinking about that, right? And I mean, maybe you're thinking, should you get a Mark 23? You probably should. Okay, let's move into topic 1 at a time of 7 minutes and 58 seconds. It's a psyop. He's just trying to pimp HK guns. Okay, well, maybe. Topic 1, Sound Signature Review 6135. The PTR VENT 3 on the 5.56 Mark 18. This is the technical discussion. And I actually have the silencer sitting right in front of me here alongside the VENT 2 that we tested on the MP5. VENT 2 is a little bit smaller, like just a touch smaller in length. I'm talking like a fraction of an inch shorter and smaller in diameter. A bigger hole in the middle and lighter, but they're very similar. I mean, they're really, really similar in size. So I have them both here. Just really interesting series. Came out of nowhere. Boy, howdy, man. Yeah, boy, oh boy. If you were lining up your bets, if you went to the silencer combustion physics bookie in the back alley, in like the seedy part of town where you place bets on nerd stuff like silencer performance, it's like you go, there's just like all there are is like just expired library cards in a dumpster. If you went to the bookie and you said, hey man, what's the line on the first silencer breaking the 40 zone in the public testing pedigree being from PTR? The bookie would probably take your money, wouldn't he? Because he would think you're absolutely insane. He's like, yeah, I'd take that bet. He'd taking your money. Here we are, though. You remember this VENT 2, the 9mm version of the silencer. Remember that? And it was in Article 6.131. Right? It was that 9mm silencer. It did very well on the MP5. And it is a little weird. We got to look at that first. right? Like, it's not often we take a look at subsonic performance of a certain technology before supersonic performance in the public pedigree. But it just so happens that this time we did. And you saw back on November 1st, that the Purposely Induced Porosity technology, the PIP technology from PTR, it was doing some major work on the MP5 with subsonic ammo. So much work, in fact, that it punches up with the quietest stuff we've tested, and it actually edges out slightly the GSL Phoenix. The venerable and famous Gemtech Mark 9K on the MP5 subgun, which is a gigantic feat. It's not a micro silencer, but it's not a super large one by any means, and it did very well. Like you just focus on the action noise well. Like, it was that quiet, right? I mean, I'm telling you, if you've shot this thing, and I know many of you have shot it because you've told me about shooting their Vent 2 9mm silencer on the MP5 because you got to shoot it at those events they recently had, like CanCon and stuff like that. You know what I mean? You went shot it there, and so you told me your experiences and you shared them with me. It was really cool to hear your experiences, after we had published that research. So that Vent 2, it did that with a hybrid design. Conventional baffles, early venting to a porous metal lattice structure in annular space. It was able to generate enough turbulence and heat transfer with lower pressure subsonic rounds and still do a lot of work. So we thought, okay, interesting. That's very interesting. High flow rate. We saw the high flow rate with the Vent 2 minimizing ejection port blast on the MP5. Okay. Could this technology do the same thing with higher pressure ammunition in a different envelope? Could you apply this to rifles? And could you go so far as to put it on a very high pressure rifle system and see similar performance attributes? Could you do that? If you've been following this research for a while, this is a really interesting question. Because again, you are looking at this in the reverse way we would typically look at it, right? Usually, if we test something with a high flow rate and it does well with high pressure rounds, we then wait with bated breath to see how it does with lower pressure ammunition, right? It's like subsonic stuff. And we wonder things like, well, if you don't have enough pressure and combustion duration, will the net suppression be enough? Do the mechanisms of suppression that the silencer uses physically pay enough dividends when the pressure gets lower? Sometimes we get disappointed. Okay? What's a huge case study on that? The HXQD Helix flow-through stuff from Huxworks, right? Remember, or back when it was OSS. Just not a high performer on subsonic cartridges, right? It just wasn't. That particular series suffered, and we saw why. So now we're going the other way, right? We're going the other way. We saw the PTR technology did really great with low pressure. Right away, we thought to ourselves, oh man, this is huge, because if it can do this with subs, what would happen with supers? I bet it has legs. I mean, that's what I thought. Because again, we're going at this backward. We're going at it the other way around. If we would have seen bad subsonic performance, I wouldn't be as intrigued necessarily, or if we would have gone supersonic, I would have been like, maybe it's not going to be good on subs. But we just so happened we saw excellent subsonic performance, and we were like, maybe this has legs. And legs it has. And it really does have them. And I think before we get into this, what are you looking at when you look at the test results of this silencer? You are looking at blast load being forced through a porous metal lattice structure that causes significant turbulence and has a lot of surface area, both of which help heat transfer and net signature suppression. That's what you are going to be physically looking at in the data, in the waveforms themselves. Primary bore flow and annular forced lattice flow. Okay, just keep that in mind. That's what you're looking at. So numerically, let's check it out. All right, pull it up on pewscience.com. Pull it up right now. Article 6, 135. You can open the free public version if you want. That will do just fine. I have the member review open in front of me on my computer here. You can follow along at home with whatever version you like. I won't leave you behind. Okay, I'm gonna give you a second to pull it up. Okay. So, bottom line up front, 42.3 muzzle suppression rating on the standard 10.3 inch 5.56 Mark 18, 29.0 shooter's ear suppression rating. The two of those result in a combined 42.6 composite suppression rating on this weapon, a 5.56 SBR, the short 10.3 inch barrel, an incredible 42.6. That is the highest published suppression rating in the public research pedigree at pewscience.com in this host weapon, guys. That's the highest. Okay? It's the highest suppression rating, and with a very high muzzle rating combined with a very high ear rating for the platform. Now, 29 at the ear isn't high, but for the Mark 18, it's high, bro. Okay? 29 at the ear on a Mark 18 is doing work. You've seen that. Okay? You're not getting much higher than 29, 30, 31. That's it. You're just not getting higher than that on the Mark 18, okay? You're not. You've seen that, right? It's not happening. Okay? We've done enough tests, so so when you see something get 29 at the ear and then it gets 40s at the muzzle, pay attention. I would not be emphasizing this as heavily as I am if I didn't mean it. Okay? Like, I'm telling you, pay attention to this. This isn't trivial. This isn't like, oh, this might be okay. No, this is like, we've never tested anything like this before. Okay? It's not a silencer with just a high muzzle rating that induces crazy port pop at the ear, like you've seen. You've seen silencers with super high muzzle ratings, and their ejection port blast is out of control, right? This is not that. This is not that. And you know what else it's not? It's not a silencer that simply nullifies that ejection port blast, but then vents like crazy out of the front and gets really boomy. It's not that either. It's not that either. It's not, so it doesn't fit in those two groups, does it? No. This thing is it does both thing. That's what this thing is. It does both. That's what it does, both. Okay, so how does it do it? Technically, well, we can look at that. We have the technology. Okay, scroll down in the article, scroll down past the words and the big scary table until you get to Figure 1. You have Figure 1A and Figure 1B. Okay, now this is just this is pressure measured in the free field. Okay, so right away, there's some really interesting things to look at. Right away, you see something a little bit odd for a silencer with such a high muzzle suppression rating, don't you? Look at how fast the decay happens. Normally, you would draw out that pressure dump for longer, wouldn't you? Look at around 35 milliseconds or so in Figure 1A, okay? You have decayed so much by that time. It's pretty wild. Look how low the pressure is at that time already. It's decaying so fast, dude. That's wild. How is that happening so quickly? And for that matter, do you want context for this? you want some because some of you might be looking at this like for the first time, or you might be looking at this in this way for the first time and be like, oh man, I never noticed that type of thing. I'm like, that's okay. That's why I'm talking to you about it. Okay, so you can learn. So I think maybe we want some context. So what we'll do, let me do this. I'm going to pull up in another window, I'm going to pull up the rankings table. This is really easy to do because you can do it on the website with me. So pull out the rankings table. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to select Mark 18 as the weapon system. I'm going to hit Mark 18 only. Okay, very good. And then I am going to sort by muzzle suppression rating, descending. So I'm going to click on muzzle suppression rating in the top row of the table. I'm going to click it once. Now you see little arrows pointing down. That means it's sorting descending, meaning the highest muzzle suppression rating is at the top. Okay. So what do you see when you do that? Well, the vent 3 is on top, right? It has 42.3 at the muzzle. Okay, cool. Then what is the very next entry? Well, it's the maximum defense DSX with 38.6 at the muzzle. Okay, cool. Okay, great. It's in the table. So now what you can do, now using the link in that line of the table for the DSX, the link is literally there in the table. Click on that link in that line of the table, that DSX line of the table. It's going to open up a new window or a new tab in your browser, and now it's going to show that white paper for the maximum defense DSX on the standard of Mark 18. That's Article 110, 6.110. Okay, great. So now you have two articles open, right? You have 6.135 and you have 6.110. Scroll down to 110 and go to its figure 1A. Okay, now what do you see in the maximum defense DSX? Back when, and just for reference so you understand the time frame, this was published on May 4th of this year. What do you see in figure 1A of the DSX? You see at that same time, around 35 milliseconds or so, you are still in the middle of major blowdown, aren't you? Yeah. Significant pressure blowdown is still occurring. Interesting, right? That's pretty interesting. And you're still venting, like out of that primary bore, like in a big way. Like there's still a lot to go. It's interesting. I mean, that's what that's showing you physically. You got a lot of pressure coming out still. You're not done. You are not done venting yet. How about that? That's what that's showing physically in the waveforms in figure 1A of Article 110. Okay? So go back to the PTR article again and go to figure 1A and look at it. Look how much it had dropped at the same time. Remember, the dimension of time is important. Time matters. Time matters in all of this. It's not just the amplitude, it's the time. The PTR silencer is showing you in the article the gas is coming out faster. Way faster, right? It definitely is. And what's super odd, well, I would say this is super odd, is how well this is suppressing. It is super odd how fast this thing vents, but at the same time suppresses. It's actually a pretty big deal. Okay? And that, my friends, is showing you the magic. Okay? Right up front. This is the magic of this silencer. And I know I'm using the term magic, just I'm being somewhat playful. I don't mean it's literally magic, but what I'm saying is that's the special sauce here. You know what I mean? So let's keep going to the PTR article. Now that you have this in mind, you have it in the back of your mind right away. We haven't looked at anything else other than the free field pressure, and right away you're seeing something's different. Big time. Okay? You saw that in figure 1A. Now let's look at figure 1B. Okay? Figure 1B. This is the early time fingerprint. Okay, this is shot 1 and shot 2 overlaid, but very early in time. So early that you're seeing the combustion first travel through the silencer. Okay, this is like time 0-ish. You know what I mean, Jelly Bean? So, what do you see in figure 1B? This thing is throttling pressure amplitude from the beginning, like it's going out of style, dude. This is the thing is like, I'm going to throttle this pressure amplitude. It is, in a controlled way, dumping pressure to atmosphere very consistently at a low amplitude. This is bleeding down quickly, but in a controlled way. It is so controlled that you can consistently see the bullet shock and the main muzzle jet nesting in the flow from shot to shot. And after those shocks happen from those events, it's as if they completely disappear and the main flow is still normalized. Okay. Usually, you will see some violence afterward. After that happens, you usually see some violence. It gets very erratic. But with the Vent 3, it just ramps. It just continues to ramp. And I'm describing you what I physically see in the pressure history. But another great way to illustrate this, which will help you see the progression through the blowdown cycle of the silencer, is the gas momentum transfer potential curves. And another easy word for that is the impulse curves. And those are in figure 2A. Okay, so you can scroll a little bit further down and you look at figure 2A. You can think of this, the data in figure 2A, you can think of this as proportional to energy dump as well. That's another way you can think of impulse, okay? So what the PTR silencer is doing, I'm going to say this in a little different way for you right now. You guys have earned this. You guys, I can speak with you a little more complicated. What the PTR silencer is doing, it's throttling wave momentum consistently in every shot and spreading out the gas dump in a way that is both fast and controlled. It's going to have a higher peak wave momentum, but overall, the pressure is being throttled at a lower amplitude. Okay, so figure 2A on paper is the perfect fingerprint of controlled high flow rate from a rifle silencer. It's hard to get much better than that. It's hard to get much better than figure 2A to show that phenomena. It's pretty textbook. It's pretty textbook, I have to say. That is textbook controlled high flow rate. It's the type of stuff you see if you were to combine flow through with surge bypass almost and kind of squint. You know what I mean? I'm trying to draw parallels to things you're familiar with, but it's kind of like that. And to be clear, that's not what this technology is. But the actual performance does combine that in some ways, okay? And the signature shows that. The reason we can say that is because that's what we see in the measured data, okay? I'm not like saying, oh man, that rifle is a slightly darker shade of black. No, you know what I mean? I'm actually saying no, the performance of the systems is similar in certain ways because we see XYZ in the data, okay? So it's a purposeful statement. So when we look at this, I don't think that we have seen a signature quite like this on the Mark 18 ever, and that's a pretty big deal. I used the word unprecedented a few times in the article. I meant that. I don't take that word lightly. When I write it or I say it, I believe it to be true. And at the time of writing this article, this is unprecedented. To this day, of all the stuff we've tested, the combination of muzzle and ear suppression on the Mark 18 has not hit these levels. And the consistency, guys, it's as consistent as the Vent 2 was on the MP5. And you can see those waveforms back in Article 131. Okay, so on your own time, go back and read those. All right, so this is a big deal. It's a big deal because this is a hybrid design. The silencer is letting gas expand into the blast chamber. It is then venting to the lattice structure in the annulus through ports around the blast baffle, and I believe there's 3 of them. Let me look in this. I took the direct thread mount out so I could look in it. Oh, dang it! I forgot my dang flashlight. I was gonna have my flashlight on my desk. Oh shit! Did that? Oh no, I didn't stop the recording, did I? Okay. Silencer hit the keyboard. Man down. One second. Okay, so I'm looking in there are 3 vents. There are 3 vents around the circumference of the blast baffle. Okay, so that's how it gets in all up in the metal foam. Okay, very good. So, sorry, my desk is obviously not organized right now. Where was I? Oh, right. So the gas expands into the first expansion chamber. We call that the blast chamber. It's venting to the lattice structure in the annulus through ports that are around that blast baffle. And then those baffles are actually, they have 2 mill cuts in them. There's a bunch of them. There's actually a lot of baffles in the silencer. It's 3D printed. There's a bunch of baffles. Those baffles are doing the work of traditional baffles, as they should, with the added benefit of the flow just not stagnating. Okay? It's being forced through lattice. That's right. The PIP technology. It's allowing more turbulence generation with a significant amount of surface area contact, guys. The resulting heat transfer, man, it gives way to pure pressure amplitude suppression. You are physically transferring energy. You understand? Because remember, you can't create or destroy energy. That's not allowed in this universe in which we reside. You can't. You can only move energy from place to place. Right? You can transfer energy, you can move energy, but you can't create it and you can't destroy it. Okay? The PIP technology is transferring energy very efficiently. And what's really exciting about it to me, is it's doing it every dang shot close to the same way, because that's what you see in the dang data. Okay? And I mean, PewSoft is showing this, guys. PewSoft data shows this. It's facts. The raw data indicates that this is exactly what is happening. It's all there in the article. It's all in the waveforms. He's just like, this is all measurable and repeatable by anyone to do anything. Free field measurement is an open source method that people with data acquisition systems have been doing for many decades. And so if you are really get a wild hair and you want to repeat this, you can replicate this, no problemo. Okay, and people have. Okay, so this, and it's important, and I'm saying this, I know a lot of you folks know that already, but some of you don't, and it's important for you to know that. Okay, that's just measurement. Now, we talked about this. 1 second, please. We talked about this. These are the primary suppression mechanisms, okay? The pure suppression. We talked about the pure suppression. Sure, that's impressive, but what's the really impressive part? Well, the fact that the blast loads are not significantly stagnating and that the flow is able to move forward. Again, check out the fast blowdown we reviewed in Figure 1A. And if that isn't enough, look how long the bolt carrier group takes to return to battery. That's a long time. And if that isn't enough, join PEW Science, look at the member review in Figure 3, and see how fast the blowdown really occurs. So fast that the shooter experiences something you're simply not going to experience with a silencer that has high back pressure. Again, that's members only, but it's there if you want proof of all of this. It's there. It's in the data. Please. You can take my word for it if you want, but you don't have to. The magic is you can look at it. Okay, it's really great. It's really important. If you really have a passion to understand this, the tools are there for you. And for the cup of coffee a month, you can freaking read the whole dang thing, all the dang the papers on the site. It's amazing the amount of research you get access to for the price of a cup of coffee a month is staggering. It's essentially free. Am I right? And you get to support the dang. I'm not trying to turn this into a commercial, but just, I mean, I'm getting hyped because it's like, it's almost exciting to me. Like if I was not me and I was you, I would be like, oh my God, yeah, I'm gonna do this all day long. You know, I guess that's why I'm me. Back to the article. This silencer is significantly suppressing signature at the muzzle and at the same time flowing fast enough to nullify excess ejection port blast pressure. That is like what you want, guys. This is taming the Mark 18 better than anything we've tested. Full stop. That's it. Okay. PTR. I know. Never in 10 million years would I think this would be the case. Again, and I know it. I know I feel weird when I say that. And again, not trying to throw shade at PTR, but it's like, what? It's like if someone's like, yeah, you know, I was going to use like a name of another gun company, a random gun company to like as an example of something. But what I didn't want to do was like name another gun company and then someone compares them. Like, oh, they're not as good as PTR. Or they're better than PTR, and it becomes a whole thing. But you know what I mean, right? Like a roller lock clone gun manufacturer, and then they have this. It's like everyone was like, man, who's gonna hit 40 first on the Mark 18? And it's like, yeah, some things have hit 40 that we've tested internally, sure. I mean, so you can imagine, like, if you use your imagination, if you put, like, a really, really big silencer on the Mark 18, like, you know you're going to hit 40 at the muzzle, right? Like, that's just, like, physics. So, like, that makes sense to you, right? But then you look at this and you're like, what's going to hit over 40 at the muzzle and do, like, 29 or 30 at the ear or something? I can tell you from testing a bunch of stuff, nothing but this. Okay? I can tell you that. So, I mean, and that's why I'm excited about it. And I don't even know if you can buy these things. Like, I know you're going to be able to buy this, but I don't know when at all. I'm just saying, like, I'm excited about the data. So, back to this. I want to say something, 1 second. I want to say something about the certain technology, just because I think it's worth saying. I mean, this is what I kind of see. You know, yes, metal lattice structures have been tried in silencers, and designs are around in several places that people have done over the years. Okay, and if you go back far enough, I mean, you know, actually, you don't have to go back that far, just a little bit far. Guess what, guys? People used steel wool in old silencers. Okay, and why? Why would you put steel wool in a silencer? Well, I already told you why. Turbulence and surface area. Two things that help maximize heat transfer. That's right. It's just physics, dude. This is literally how you maximize heat transfer. And you can normalize flow with it too. Did you know that? You can normalize flow. It's a great way to do it. Steel wool is sloppy and loose, though, isn't it? I mean, it works in a pinch. You know, the subgun cans. You can do it. 3D printed lattice structures are organized in like a tiger. You know what I mean? They're toy, baby. That's modern. That's high tech, right? Frankly, it's one of the future legs of advanced silencer design. I think hybrids are a primary category. And I think lattice structure hybrids are probably a fork in that category of the family. Probably a leg to explore if I were a designer. You know, you got to think, guys, you know, this research pedigree is basically creating families, right? Like, it's like taxonomy. Like, we're classifying technologies and their performance in different regimes, and all in this public pedigree, right? So we now have an excellent example of lattice structure integration. Yeah. Subsonic and supersonic. Isn't that cool? And regardless of who makes it, right? Regardless of who makes this, and look, I'm not taking anything away from PTR here. I'm just saying, regardless of who makes this, we have it now, right? In the pedigree. And that's important. When will the next iteration be? Okay, that's a good question you want to think about. Okay, will the next iteration of something like this be from PTR? Or will it be from someone else? You know, is someone else going to use lattice structures to continue the race? Because, I mean, obviously, like, using a lattice structure isn't like something that I don't know if you can patent that. Can you? Maybe someone has. I don't know. I'd have to honestly, like, I don't know that, but I would think that the lattice structures would work their way into other products. And I think you are all aware that to do them most efficiently, you're probably going to have to 3D print them. Right? I mean, let's be real here. I mean, yeah, you can like take some bar stock and drill holes into it till it's Swiss cheese and stuff that in a tube, but let's be real here. With the porosity they're dealing with the complexity of the foam, I guess you could acid etch your steel. Anyway, you know what I mean? But it's interesting. It's an interesting thought experiment, like industry wide, right? Like, who's going to leverage the different technologies available to them in manufacturing? Who has patented what? Who owns what things are left to explore? It's just really interesting to me, you know. I think, hey, by the way, just back to this article, if you are a member, if you happen to be a PEW Science member, please look at the member section of the review. I don't want you to miss some of the stuff in there, okay? It's pretty good. And so let's go back to the article. And I put a lot of stuff in there. You can kind of read about some of the different technologies, how they compare, what I talk technically about what I just explained to you, et cetera, et cetera. You know, all the nitty gritties there. If you would like, in a big summary push here, if you want to scroll down to figure 6, that's the big bar chart, the red and the blue, the crosshatch and the diagonal hash bars in figure 6 comparing all the silencers. So I want to kind of explain something that I thought was interesting that people thought. I have received some comments, not many, maybe like a couple. And if a couple of people are saying this to me, that means a lot of other people are thinking it, but just haven't had the courage to say it. So I think that's why I'm going to address it. I think it's important to ask questions, and I think it's important to answer questions. I received some comments where some people said they were confused because the silencer is low back pressure, but it's sitting in the middle of the chart. Well, is it in the middle? It's not in the middle. Yeah, it's kind of in the middle of the chart, right? Okay. And I think, so those folks thought that they saw that and they said that because they know that this particular chart is sorted by omega. Okay. It is. Yes, friends. This is sorted by omega, 10.3 inch 556 omega, which is not ideal for omega because of secondary combustion. But nonetheless, yes, it is sorted by omega. But you must remember, and I've been harping on this for the past year at least, back pressure is a function of alpha and omega. You saw how the PTR silencer draws out the pressure dump in a controlled way. You saw this, yes? Okay. It is really suppressing wave momentum here, guys, in early time. Okay. It's doing a lot of work, but at the same time, gas is moving through the silencer very quickly. We went over this like 10 minutes ago, right? Remember? Okay. Low alpha without regard to omega. That's why it sits right next to the Cat WB and the solid end cap torch in the chart. Those two silencers just so happen to have relatively low alpha without regard to omega in those configurations. Their designers let omega get higher. Why? Well, they wanted them to be quieter. Frankly, I mean, these are hybrids, guys. Hybrids oftentimes drop alpha to suppress outwardly significantly. Okay. I know a lot of you know where I'm going with this. I'll say it right now. Hybrid designs are probably the future of rifle suppression, guys. You don't get the boomy nature of the Huxworks family, but you get favorable weapon kinematics. It's probably the future, guys. Surge bypass, PIP, stuff from Liberty Precision Machine, those simple ways of, porting your blast baffle to lower your alpha, stuff like that is probably the future for holistically integrated weapon systems. When you really look into this stuff, it's probably the future. Yeah. I mean, all in all, it's like, here's another player in the arena, So this is titanium. Okay. It's 3D printed titanium. I don't know if I mentioned that. So what does that mean? Well, it's not a go-to-war belt-fed silencer, obviously, but hey, it's going to hold up. I mean, the manufacturer said, and look, if you have criticism about this, take it up with them. These are their words, not mine. They said that you can put 120 rounds through this thing, full auto, with a 10-minute cooldown. Okay, that's pretty wild, actually. Now, you are dropping the strength of titanium when you get it pretty hot. That's factually correct. But, well, you're not only dropping strength, you're dropping modulus. And we could go through a mechanics and materials discussion sometime, but I'll have to give you an hour lecture on that to get you up to speed. Doesn't matter. It gets less stiff and it gets less strong. Okay, with heat, like almost every metal under high temperature. Okay, just the temperatures differ and the stiffness and strength reductions differ depending on material. So, yes, you get this thing hot, super duper hot. Yes, you're dropping the strength and stiffness, but you also got to keep in mind strength and stiffness is needed dynamically. Okay, these are not static pressure vessels, guys. They're dynamic pressure vessels. So during the time regime of loading, if you are below your critical stresses, you're fine. If your critical stresses drop because your strength is dropped because temperature has lowered the yield strength of the titanium and your load duration is short enough, you're still okay. You understand that, right? Like this is, I know, like, okay, let me try to make this simple with a more simple loading case. Let's say you were standing on a metal chair and the chair had a fire under it. And eventually the chair would weaken because of the fire. Yeah? Yeah. Okay, cool. And if you were heavy, maybe the chair legs would buckle. Right? But what if they were lighter? Or what if you were lighter? What if you ate less food and the chair was still on fire? Would you be okay? Yeah, maybe, as long as your weight, which is the loading, didn't cause critical stress to be reached. In this case, the critical buckling stress of the legs, that's mechanically what that is, which had been lowered by the fire. That critical stress started to drop because the fire is heating up, and then you're standing on it, so you're going to reach that critical stress faster because that critical stress limit had dropped. SpaghettiOs, legs collapse, right? Now, silencer's different because the load's not you standing on it, is it? Well, I mean, not if you're a normal person. What the load is in a silencer, it's a pressure pulse inside for a short amount of time that vents at a certain rate. Yeah? Okay. We call this a dynamic load, very simply. So instead of a static stress in the chair legs, it's a dynamic stress state changing over time. That's right. In the walls of the silencer. That's right. So if you have a titanium silencer and it is really hot, so the yield strength is dropped, but your dynamic stress state is such that it's not yielding the silencer is not going to explode, guys. It won't. Okay? Now, erosion, stuff like that, different mechanism. That's a different mechanism. I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about structural failure. Okay? Okay, so you understand? Material is important. For sure. Material is definitely important, guys. But if you only talk about material without talking about actual structural response, you're not saying anything. And also, you might mislead people significantly. Okay, so be careful out there. I see a lot of stuff on the internet and social media with people talking about titanium silencers like they're fragile or something, like they fail when they get hot. Maybe if they have no wiggle room in the design, or Or maybe they're actually more durable than a steel silencer due to the design. Oh, snap. Wouldn't that hurt your feelings? I mean, sometimes it's true, man. Like, unless you have analytical design or test data to support a statement, careful with what you're saying, because you're just running your mouth for the sake of it, and people are getting really bad information. Okay, it's like I've seen the craziest things all over the internet about things like this. I mean, heck, remember before PEW Science and people were talking about like, oh, everything is 140 dB, and you're like, oh my god, like enough. And I had to make PEW Science. What? Now you're gonna have to make me start pressure testing silencers to see if they blow up now at certain temperatures, statically, like a crazy person. No, that'd be stupid. You would have to do live fire tests to get the stress state accurate, right? Because that's another thing. And but before I leave this point, I do want to also tell you about this. Like when a silencer has a higher flow rate, the stress state is different, right? Like if you like, let's say you have a silencer with like super high back pressure, like all those silencers you guys really love on your rifles, and you say, oh, and all you people are like, oh man, just tune your gun. Okay, fine. Great. Get one of those, put it on an AR, and when it gets to a certain temperature, the stress state in that silencer is going to be super critical, because guess what? It's holding pressure for a longer period of time during the pulse because it's not venting as fast. You could probably take that same silencer, drill holes in the end of it. I'm talking the same silencer. Drill holes in the end of it. I'm not talking about to make it loud or quiet. I'm just talking to vent the pressure out faster, and it would probably not fail as quick through a high firing schedule because the stress state has changed. You understand? I mean, that's a really gross oversimplification. What you would really want to do is you would want to vent from the blast chamber forward, right? Because you want a holistic higher flow rate, but you want to minimize alpha. But anyway, you get the point, right? So what I'm saying is, like, load dictates resiliency, as does strength and stiffness. You can't have, like, you can't just, the moon is made of cheese, or the moon, like, you can't just say, oh, it's all about the material, and because this thing is made of Inconel, it's bulletproof. Oh, this thing is made of titanium, so it's going to fail. No. I'm sorry, but absolutely not. Those statements have no meaning unless you have other parameters, okay? So, like I said in the article, whatever you do, please contact the manufacturer for guidance regarding your use case. Do not trust anybody on the internet. Contact the manufacturer. No one on the internet knows. The manufacturer knows. Okay? Okay. Now, you look at this. It's pretty light. It's about the length of a 45 ACP cartridge, longer than the RC3. I know that's such a weird, like, and now for a banana for scale. No, just so you know, I posted a photo to like an Instagram story because people were asking me, like, hey man, how long is that thing? I was like, well, it's in the article. Like, yeah, but how long is it? I was like, okay, well, I have the RC3 handy. I had this handy. I put it on the gun bench. I had a spare round of 45 sitting there since I've been shooting the Mark 23 nonstop. So I had a lot of that handy. It just so happens that the difference in length between the Vent 3 and the RC3 is the length of a 45 cartridge, almost exactly. And I thought that was interesting. So there you go. It's hub capable, as they say. We tested with direct thread. It came with the direct thread mount from PTR. Keep that in mind. Okay, you could change the performance of the silencer if you use a cherry bomb or something like. You put a cherry bomb on this, it's not gonna have the back pressure you want. I can assure you of that. We have that test out with other silencers. Now, there is a 308 version of this thing. Don't go thinking this is gonna scale to 7.62 though, like easy peasy lemon squeezy. Yes, I know the tech did well on 9mm subsonic. I know. Yes, I know this did well with supersonic 5.56. I know. But All I'm saying is don't make assumptions because you never know. Okay? Just don't start extrapolating crap you don't know about because we will see what we see. Okay? Combustion duration is an interesting thing. And PEW Science can only speak to what we have published. You feel me? That's all I'm going to say about that. But I cannot speak to make-believe time. And if you hear me giving you a caution, just respect what I'm saying to you. I'll just leave it at that, okay? I can only tell you what I can tell you. You feel me? So this is interesting, guys. To 2023, I hope you enjoy this article and the research. I think it's a huge step for the pedigree. We're honored to have been asked to take on this project. It was a lot of work, actually, and I hope we did a good job with it for the world here. It's truly something no one has ever presented before. They never presented anything like this, showing how this compares to things like this. This is like a really big deal, I think. I feel like I'm forgetting something about the silencer to tell you. I mean, it's, you hold it in your hand. A lot of people are like, oh, yeah, it's pretty big. It's like, it's actually not that big, man. I don't know. And because it's titanium, it's pretty light. Sometimes people ask me, like, well, what would you do with the silencer if you had one? It's like, I was actually looking at this one. And I was thinking to myself, it's not super short, so it like if you're considering like overall length as like a mandatory thing for some reason, like maybe you have like a gun in a house or something, you're like running around corridors and stuff. Maybe put this on a short barrel, but maybe if you put it on if you put this on your 14.5 or your 16 or 18-inch gun, it starts to get a little long. I don't know. It's not that long. I was thinking for myself, I have an HK, what is it? The MR556. It's a piston gun. It doesn't have adjustable gas or anything. That's the type of gun, like, I kind of want to put a scope on it that's, I don't know, like a 4-16 or something like that, attacker. And then I was thinking, put that on that gun, put a silencer like this on that gun where, I'm not trying to make the gun super heavier than it already is because it's already heavy. This isn't going to add too much mass. I'm not going to have to adjust this gun that much with it because of the flow rate. It's going to suppress really well. Maybe I use that to plink at distance or something. Maybe I'm shooting that, 300, 400, 500 yards with I know that's 5.56. It's kind of dumb. Shoot 500 yard 5.56, but, you can. I'll shoot like 300. That would be like a fun day. And I was thinking maybe I'll try that out. I was thinking about it like that. You can, the fact of the matter is though, with as light as this thing is and the modular mounting, you could really put it on anything. Like I said, material matters. So if you are going to be, doing like intense carbine classes all day, every day, maybe you don't want to put a titanium silencer like this, for hard use on your weapon. I don't know. You'd have to really test that out and ask PTR. If you're a night vision shooter, and you're shooting at night a lot, and you really have a sensitivity to sparking and things like that, this is a titanium silencer. I have not shot this at night yet. I should say in some internal discussions we've had, we are anticipating that the actual flash performance of this system is actually probably pretty good. The sparking, which is not flash, the sparking, not sure yet, but right now the anticipated flash performance, I think we're very optimistic. I will update you. It might be that this holiday I might have a chance to try that out. And if I do, I will let you know. And if I do try it out, what weapon would I use? My 14.5 is set up for another silencer right now, and I don't know that I have. Oh, you know what? I might have a mount. I might do it on the 14.5 or an 11.5. And I'll let you know, okay? I will let you know how that goes if I do it. All right. So if you have any questions about the Vent 3, please reach out. You can contact us through pewscience.com. You can hit tech@pewscience.com. Through email, you can send a smoke signal, or you can always hit us up on social media and be happy to discuss it, okay? So again, huge thanks to PTR. Thank you for trusting our lab to perform this work. Okay, let's move into topic 2 at a time of 1 hour, 0 minutes, and 7 seconds. Okay, one moment. Okay, goodness gracious, guys. Merry Christmas. Really, Merry Christmas from the PEW Science family to you and yours. Christmas is this coming Monday. It is correct, the 25th, yes? Yes. It's coming Monday. Hopefully you're able to spend it with your loved ones. Please rejoice and be merry. Thank you for making this just a great year. Just, man, what a great year this has been. So many blessings, so many just great big wins, so many wonderful research discoveries we've made. Just so many articles. Just amazing. And I hope you're able to take really good advantage of the holidays. And maybe you get a Mark 23 and go shooting. I hope you have a wonderful Christmas. I really do. And I will say we are taking some time off. I hope you will also take time off. This week I'm going to be getting caught up on emails, few analysis tasks, things like that. We're pretty much off for the holidays. Okay, I really need it. We really need it. I think you need it. Just be honest with yourself. Need to reset. Which is actually really great. If you are a PEW Science member who needs help, please still reach out. Responses might be a little delayed, but it's not going to be too bad. So just reach out. You're not going to bother me. I promise you will not bother me. Okay? Just, so if I don't respond for a little bit, just be respectful, but you'll be okay. It'll be great. I tell you what, I'm planning, just to give you some ideas. I don't know what you guys are going to do. I might go hunting some more. One thing I'm definitely going to do, I'm definitely going to go shooting some more. I've been shooting a lot for myself personally lately. It's very cathartic for me. I enjoy shooting. It's one of my favorite things to shoot suppressed guns. Particularly, one of my favorite things to do of everything in the world is shooting suppressed pistol. Not many people enjoy it. I do. Okay? Shooting suppressed pistol is, for me, one of the coolest things you can do in your life. And with regard to pistols, to firearms, it's like top 3 things I can do with a gun is shooting suppressed pistol. I think it's a skill that a lot of people actually think they have, but they don't. And it's way harder than shooting a pistol without a silencer. And when you get really good at shooting suppressed pistol, well, you're cool. That's what I say. And I've been shooting the heck out of the dang Mark 23. And I tell you what, I love that pistol so much. Dude, I have it right here. Oh, man. This pistol, dude, I'm telling you right now, this is like, I don't know what it's been all my life, man. It took me so long to buy one. I shot one before, and I finally bought one, and I cannot tell you how amazing it is that they still make this gun. Like, I don't know, like if you don't have, like, well, I don't know how big your hands are, but like, I don't know, some people with smaller hands can't hack it, but if you can, just like go to a gun store and hold one, and if you think you can hack it, buy it, dude. It's just it's exceptional. It's an exceptional piece of engineering. And the interesting thing is that I've been shooting it a lot with that Knight's Armament silencer. It is not a light silencer by any means, and it is not new by any means, but boy, do I like it. And I'm shooting pretty long range sessions with it. I don't know, man. I've just been putting I bought a whole case of, what did I buy? S&B 230 grain 45 ammo. I bought like 1,000 rounds of it, and I've just been. I'm gonna get through that case and then buy another 1,000 rounds, and just all I do is shoot that dang Mark 23 right now, and by default, when I'm doing these range sessions, I'm using my Ops Core amps, hearing protection. And, usually when I shoot rifle, I'm using the NFMI plugs. When I'm shooting suppressed pistol for long range sessions, I don't use the plugs. I just use the muffs. I have 2 pairs of muffs, one on the helmet and one pair that's standalone. I use when I'm not using the helmet, which is much more often, and I really like them. As a long-term review feedback on these things, which I bought them retail. The AAA batteries, they last a while. I've replaced them a couple times. The things, they beep at you when they let you know they're getting low, so no worries on that. And I keep the hearing protection on for long periods of time, so I've used them quite a bit. And I'm telling you all this because a lot of people ask me what type of hearing protection I use. And so that's the type. I use Ops Core stuff. Now remember, and this is something important, some people don't realize this, suppressed small arm signatures, they're dosing you. Just because you put a silencer on a gun, like you see the suppression rating chart, right? That's a dose limit for like damage. So if you're shooting a ton, then a lot all the time, well, the dosage adds up, okay? Read the guidance, read the technical guidance on the website. It's best to protect yourself, okay? So especially when you're in environments that have a lot of reflections, like you don't cheat death, okay? So anyway, I've been shooting the Mark 23 a lot, and man, I've done my due diligence, and I've really tried to like the USP 45 Tactical as much as the Mark 23. I want to like it as much. I want to. I just don't shoot it as well as the Mark 23. I think with more practice, I would. Right now, it's something about the sight picture of the Mark 23 is just perfect to me. The way it lines up, the way it feels, the recoil impulse, I like that a lot more. I have a spare slide for the Mark 23. I'm going to mill it for an optic. But I really like these iron sights. Anyway, I just want to talk about this just because I'm so elated with it. I couldn't be more pleased with the pistol. And I do acknowledge it's not for everyone because it's large, but it's not that big, dude. Like, it's just a 45 pistol. It's fine. I enjoy the iron sights on it. I'm going to shoot it more on this vacation. The photograph I'm posting with this episode, it's an interesting photograph, and the reason I'm posting this particular one is because it has the Mark 23 with the night silencer, but it has the USP 45 with an original advanced armament Tyrant 45 silencer, the original one. It's the original one, the original model. And if you look at the overall length of the two weapon systems, they're identical, despite the USP being smaller, because the Tyrant's so long. And I thought that was interesting. So it's a really cool juxtaposition of generation, I felt like, a little bit. Just a little bit interesting. So yeah, it'll be cool when we test those things. But right now, I'm just having fun with them because fun's important. Okay, it's a cool photo. I just snapped that photo when I was shooting last weekend because I thought it was neat. So anyway, guys, please try to relax this holiday. Spend some time with your family. Spend some time with your loved ones, with your friends. Be kind to your neighbor, to your fellow man, and treat people with respect. Okay, it's important. I think it's important. So have a wonderful Merry Christmas. Okay, I will talk with you folks again soon. Okay, bye.